Okay, thank you very much for paying attention. We had a wonderful morning. Hopefully you got a few things out of the different stations and different groups that you were in this morning. So hopefully there was one or two things that you guys can take home and learn from and help you in your day-to-day life. Today, to finish up today, we're very excited to have a big guy right here. This is Lawrence Funderburke. Let's give him a great big round of applause. I know when I grew up, I watched him a lot on TV. He played basketball in high school for Columbus Worley. Played in Indiana for a year. He finished out his college career at Ohio State. Played for the Buckeyes, played with Jimmy Jackson, correct? Was part of the 1992 Big Ten Championship basketball team. He then went on and played in the NBA for the Sacramento Kings and finished out his career with the Chicago Bulls. So he's going to be here today with us to talk about life and how you guys can get through your teenage years and do things when things aren't exactly going the right way. So without any further ado, let's give a big round of applause for Mr. Funderburke.
All right, I think I talk loud enough, so I don't need a microphone. So I got a big mouth, so I think you'll be able to hear me. First of all, it's a pleasure for me to be here. I've been looking forward to this since Cal asked me to speak. About 40 days ago, he asked me, he said, hey, come and talk to our young people about social and emotional issues. And I said, absolutely, for sure, because I'm someone who has dealt with these, I've struggled with various emotions in my life. So I'm gonna help you. I want you to understand, I have three things, okay, three things, all right? Number one, okay, you got to give me your undivided attention, right? You got to give me the undivided attention. So, I played against Michael Jordan. You guys all know Michael Jordan? And I was talking trash one day to Michael Jordan. You don't talk trash to Michael Jordan, right? Not smart. So, and he said some things that I can't repeat, all right, especially in front of kids, some things I won't say. But what he told me, he says, I got to bring it every day, right? You got to bring it every day. You got to bring your A game every day. If you want to be successful in this world, you got to bring your A game every day. No excuses, every day. All right, so I'm going to share my story with you, okay? Number two, I'm going to bring my A game to you, right? So it took me about 45 minutes to get here, all right? Driving through to the countryside a little bit. I'm from the city, all right? And I'm going to give you my A game, all right? And then number three, when you are giving life-transforming information, you're responsible for the instructions that follow. Let me say that again. When you're giving life-transforming information, you're responsible for the instructions that follow. Okay, that's what your teachers do. They give you information. Okay, you're responsible. All right, for that. Now, it's a gym bag. Right? How many of you play sports? Okay, how many of you play sports? All right, we played all sports. All right, so we're gonna participate. You just put your hands on our calling. I don't want anybody blurting anything out. Okay, we're gonna have some order in here. All right, we're not gonna be out of order. All right, what's in the gym bag? Put your hands up. What do you have in the gym bag? Yep. Sports clothes. Come on, give me. Yep. Cleats. Yep. Yes, sir. Basketball. Yep. Yeah. Give me some dap on that. Okay. No funky arms. Okay. No funky arms. You got it. That's for deodorant. All right. What about you, young man? Water, good. Mouth guard, good. Jersey, all right. Basketball shoes, all right, very good. So you know if you play sports, you gotta have the right equipment, right? Now, people always ask me, they say, Mr. Fundy, my nickname is Fundy, Mr. Fundy. The first three letters of my last name spell fun. So every time I talk to young people, we're gonna have fun. But you're gonna learn, we're gonna have some fun. And they always ask me, they say, well, how'd you make it? How did you make it? So there were three things that I focused on, and they all start with the letter B, all right? The first one was the Bible, all right? I'm 6'9", I'm a big guy, right? But there's someone bigger than me that I put my faith and trust in, and that's the big man upstairs, okay? My Lord and Savior. All right, the second B was books. Most people know Lawrence Funderburke as a basketball player. But I always care way more about education than I ever did about sports. All of my teachers, which I remember just like yesterday, and I had a teacher named Miss Johnson, she said, Lawrence, She said, you can be anything you want if you don't make excuses, all right, and you work hard every day. I never forgot what she said to me. My teachers were very important to me, and it's not surprising that I've always been in education and want to give back in terms of learning. So books, so at any given time, I'm reading between 7 and 10 books. I love to read. I tell people, if you're not reading, then you're not growing. And if you're not growing, then you're slowly dying. You gotta read, not just entertaining. You gotta read things that challenge your brain, challenge your mind. It's very important. Education is critically important. And then obviously, the third B was what? Basketball. Okay? Basketball. But I played football, ran track, played all sports. But those were the 3 things that I focused on to make it out of the ghetto. So I'm going to share a little bit about my story with you. Now, here's what I say. Even when you're not in school, you're always in class. What does that mean? We're going to learn today. So I want somebody to tell me what that means. You learn no matter where you are. Exactly right. You're always learning. Life is always about learning. Even when you're not in school, you're always in what? Class. Okay? Now, all of these letters kind of tell a story about me. So I'm going to walk you through my story so you can have a context. Because most people think, okay, you made an MBA, your life is all grand, all right, you have no worries. That's not true. Okay? It's not true. Now, 18. For 18 years, your homeboy, Mr. Fundy, I grew up in the roughest, the toughest, the baddest, the meanest neighborhood in all of Columbus, Ohio. It was called the Sullivan Gardens Housing Projects. I grew up in the ghetto. From the time I was born to the time I went to college, all I ever knew was the ghetto, the projects. All right, that's all I ever knew about just living, is living in that environment. The people who were there, drug dealers, gangbangers, and a lot of other characters I won't really talk about because you're a little young, so I won't tell you about them. But you can imagine what we had. Okay? So I saw drug addicts. I saw all of that growing up at a very early age. And I said to myself, I'm going to be bigger than my neighborhood. I'm not going to always live in this environment. So you got to think about, what do you want out of life, right? You got to see the future, okay? You got to see the future, all right? And a lot of you wear glasses where you can't really see. It's just like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. You kind of squint and you don't really know what you want. You got to have clear vision. You got to be able to see. There's a big difference between sight and vision. Sight is being able to see you. I can see you, sight. But vision is being able to see down the road. You got to have vision, young people, if you want to make it in this world. Let me tell you something. I played 8 years in the NBA, but I played 3 years overseas. I played in Greece, played in France, even played in Israel for a time. And I tell young people all the time, you're competing not against the person next to you, not the person in your neighborhood or in Columbus and Ohio. You're competing against people all over the world. And guess what? You're from a small town. My wife's from a small town, Chillicothe, Ohio. You're from the ghetto. You're from the projects. No one cares if you grow up in a very difficult environment. No one cares. You got to bring it. You got to compete. Yes, you need people to help you in your journey, but when you get to be older, nobody's going to feel sorry for you. You got to understand that. You got to understand that. Now, 10. There were 10 people that I sat right next to in class. They grew up with me, who were either murdered or they committed suicide. 10. Checked out. It's not a video game. You can't push reset on your video game and come back. Once you check over, that's it. 10 people that I grew up with who were murdered or committed suicide. 10 that I sat right next to. You gotta have a vision of your future. It's very, very important. Many others, if they didn't die early. Many of them spend time in prison. Many others spend time in figurative prison, meaning in their mind. A lot of you got to work on your mind. I'm going to work with you on your mind. It's very important. You got to work on your mind. 10. Now, this 3 right here, I have 3 older sisters. Do you think it was rough growing up in a house full of women? Yes. 3 older sisters, single parent mom. All I ever grew up around was women, right? So I'm always looking out for the ladies. I'm always looking out for the ladies. Very important, because I grew up in a house full of women. Now, they used to play with doll babies and stuff. Yeah, they did. All right? They used to spray perfume on me and dress me up in girls' clothes and all that. It's all right. I turned out okay. It's all good. I love my sisters. All right? Now, I always tell people, look, it's not how you start. My life, jacked up. Mr. Fundy, my life jacked up. It's not how you start, it's how you what? Come on. It's how you finish. It's how you finish. You got to finish strong. You got to finish strong. You'll see why that's important here shortly. You got to finish strong. Now, 19. This 19 here, and I'll come back to this right here. 19. Okay? This is my wedding band. I've been married for 19 years, going on 20 years. Married a young girl from Chillicothe, Ohio. All right, anybody ever been to Chillicothe? All right, it was like going back in time when I went there. All right, we've been married 19 years. I have 2 kids. I have a daughter who's in high school, and I have a son in the 5th grade. And the most important thing to me is to emphasize to them that they can't make excuses in life. No matter how difficult life may be, you got to keep fighting. Every day you got to bring it. Every day, no matter what. You can't control all of the dysfunction at home. Some of you grew up probably in a very dysfunctional situation like me. You can't control all those things. What can you control? Your attitude, your work ethic, your relationship with other people. All right. Now, I'm going to do a couple interactive things here. All right. Anybody want to help me? Anybody want to help me? All right. Any young? I always start with the ladies first. Now, hopefully, fellas. All right. Hopefully, fellas, you're very respectful to the females. Okay, that's critically important. All right. Hopefully, you allow them to go first. All right. How do the guys? Mackenzie, come on out here, Mackenzie. Mackenzie, come on, give her a hand. Give her a hand. Balance, okay? Now we're talking about emotions. Some of you, your emotions are way up here. Some of your emotions way down here. All right? You gotta have balance with your emotions. Okay? You gotta have balance in life. Okay? All right, it's very important. So what she's gonna do, I'm gonna demonstrate here. Okay, you're gonna balance on here, and you're gonna balance. All right, right, and then you're gonna do left. Okay? All right. So whatever foot you'd like to start with first. Okay. Wow, give her a hand. All right, give her a hand. Balance is very important. So one of the things that I focus on as an athlete is critically important. If you see athletes, their core is critically important. You got to have a very strong core, particularly if you play sports. All right? And who you are at your core will oftentimes determine how much success you will have in life, how you deal with others. Your core is really your values. What do you value in life? Now when it comes to balance in school, because we're in school, all right, you say, Mr. Funny, you're talking about basketball. How were you as a student? All right, let me share. Now, school, as I said, was very important. A lot of times I went to school, stomach growling, very hungry, but I was always ready to go when it came time for the classroom. Sometimes I wasn't ready to go when I played sports, but I was always ready to go when I went to school. Always. always ready. I was an honor roll student all the way middle school to high school. Only one time I didn't make honor roll in middle school, I got a C. I was on a bus going home, and my report card, I saw it, I knew I was going to make honor roll. And I talk about it in my book. One of the guys that I went to school with, we lived in the same neighborhood, he says, man, you tripping, man, you got a C? I said, man, that's good. I'm like, not in my book. Not in my book. A C is average. I'm not average at anything. If you just show up, you get a C. Yeah. You got to bring your A game. And that devastated me not making honor roll that first time. And I said it's not going to happen again. All through high school, I was an honor student. Graduated with 3.7 GPA in high school. In college, I graduated business finance, magna cum laude. What that means is basically that's the second highest honors you can graduate in school. I played basketball at Ohio State, yep. But school, I always brought my A game. I have a master's degree in business administration. I got my MBA, my master's degree, when I was playing in the NBA. Because I knew one day, for Lawrence Funderburke, one day, this ball, it's going to stop bouncing. One day, it's going to stop bouncing. What am I going to do with my life? Nobody cares if I played in the NBA. You're not Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson or Kobe Bryant. You're not some famous, nobody really cares. So what am I going to do with my life? You can't stand on this basketball. You do, you try to, you're going to probably break your neck. You got to have something else that you can depend on. Now, I'm also a certified financial planner. And what that means is I help people with their money. I help people with their life, financial planning. The hardest thing I've ever done in my life was become a CFP. I was studying 9 hours a day to pass a test. It was a 10-hour test over 2 days. The pass rate was 50%. No guarantee I could pass it. But again, I'm always thinking about what? Vision. There's a big difference between sight and vision. You got to understand that. Now, when it came to school, when I was your age, I'm going to be honest. I know some teachers are in here. Don't be mad at me. I'll come back to that. My favorite school subject was what? What do you think? Put your hands up. Put your hands up. What do you think my favorite school subject? Science? Okay. I'm just going to quiz around. I'll tell you here in a minute. What do you think? Language arts? Math? Science? Might say science? Yep. Huh? PE? Social studies. Okay? All right. My favorite school subject was math. Math was my favorite school subject. All right. My second was language arts. You got to be able to speak. You got to be able to talk, right? Reading is very important. Writing is very important. My least favorite school subject, if you teach this, teachers, please don't be upset with me, please, was social studies. Wait. You gotta let me finish now. You gotta let me finish. The reason why I know now why I didn't like social studies, I got A's in it. I got A's in pretty much A's, B's in all of my school subjects, was social studies. You learn a lot about social classes. You learn a lot about other cultures. And for me, being poor, it really caused me to reflect and to think about my poverty. And I didn't like that. So that's why it was my least favorite school subject. Now I have a book out. It's called Socio-Psychonomics. I have a book out, and it's about social classes. And I love social classes now because you learn a lot about people and the differences between them. Now, that was my least favorite. Now, up here, I have 1 million. I was talking to Cal, and he was telling me about your expectations. Now, in this environment, a lot of you probably think, I can't make it. What am I going to do with my life? I want you to think big. I want you to think big. Big things can come out of here. I'm going to tell you about someone who I admire right here from this hometown, your hometown. Now, 1 million. Now, if you graduate from high school, you go and get a 4-year degree, you're going to make on average over the course of your working career, about 40 years, you're going to make about $1 million more than someone who just graduates from high school. I know four-year college is not for everybody, but you got to go to a trade school. You got to do something beyond high school. If your homeboy, Mr. Fundy, can get 3 degrees, everybody in here can give me one type of degree. I got 3. You can get 1. You got to expand yourself. All right. Now, all right, I'm going to get a couple of you to come up here. You see this agility ladder? Anybody ever done agility ladder? Okay. So, Cal, we just have to go for this. We're going to get a couple. All right. Anybody play soccer, basketball, in agility? Don't get? No. Who plays soccer? Anybody? My man, come on down. You the man. You like, that's me. All right, I want to get a young lady who plays. A young lady plays soccer. Anybody play soccer? Sports? Anybody? You got to have tennis shoes on. Anybody got tennis shoes on? Tennis shoes? All right, come on down. What's your name? Come on. All right. All right, we got Noah. Okay, it's a great name, biblical name. I love that name. What's your name? Jalen, beautiful name as well. All right, they're going to do some demonstrations. Okay, so come behind me right here, behind the row. Okay, I want you to pay attention. Life has a pattern to it. Life, yeah. You want to be successful, it's a pattern to it. Okay, so I'm going to go through. I'm going to go fast. Okay, I want you to tell me what the pattern is. Okay. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to go slow. Okay, you have to tell me the pattern, okay? Tell me the pattern, I'm going to go slow. Okay, wait. Okay, teachers can't help. There's a pattern to this. When you take standardized tests, what are they doing? They're testing your brain, right? That's what they test you for, to see what you know. Don't just guess at the answers, you got to know, okay? That's why you study, that's why you prepare. So there's a pattern. Now, what do you think the pattern is, either in numbers or letters? There's a pattern to this that I just did. Numbers or letters. Put your hands up. Okay, you can, it's okay. You want to try it? Tell me. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, nice try. Nice try. Okay, close. Yep. My man, give him a hand. Give him a hand. I got a poster for you too, right? Get a poster. I got a poster for you. You got a poster. I'm going to autograph a poster for him. All right, 2 in, 1 out. Now they're going to come down. There is a difference typically in how a female's brain develops and a male brain develops at certain ages, okay? That's why guys, girls typically can sit still, not touch each other, not mess around, goof around. Guys, they're tickling. Is that how it works here? Just tell me, okay? Send me a text or a call, and I'll come back and straighten the fellas out here, okay? Okay, ladies? I'll straighten them out. All right. Pick it up. Keep going. All right, good. Give her a hand. Give her a hand. All right. Good. Give her a hand. Give her a hand. Okay. All right. So Noah. Okay. Go see what Noah can do. All right. Ready? So 2 in. Good. Pick it up. Good. Give him a hand. Give him a hand. All right, good. Give him a hand. Now, I want you to try and go backwards. Okay? Now you go back.
I didn't even do anything. So what have I done?
Okay. Come on, let's cheer for Jalen. Come on. Come on, give her a hand. Keep going. Yeah, my girl. Yeah.
Good job.
All right. Keep going. Keep going. Pick it up. Come on, cheer for him. Come on. Basketball players. Who's the basketball player? Anybody a basketball player? Who you got? Where's my basketball player? Who is that? Which one? In the front? Isaac? Stand up. Come on, give him a hand. So what he's going to do the same thing, but now he's going to dribble a basketball. All right, it's tough. Okay, this is tough, especially when everybody's checking you out.
Go, Isaac.
Yeah, that's right. Come on, let's go. Ready, go. Go outside. Outside, go. Go on. Okay, so he's going to do a series of dribbling drills. Okay, so he'll do crossover. Okay. All right. Then he'll come back. He'll go between his legs. Okay. Then you go back to your All right. Let's see what he got. Let's see his skills. Ready? Go. Good. Good. Give a hand. Good job. All of your school subjects. You got to bring your A game in all of your school subjects. Your teachers, their responsibility is to help you in your journey in life. That's their responsibility. Your responsibility is to bring your A game every day. They shouldn't have to tell you to turn in your homework. All right? That's not your parents' responsibility. It has to be your responsibility. You have to do that. It's very important. Okay, I understand you're in 8th grade, 6th grade, so you're going through a cool phase. I get that, okay? I have a teenager, I understand that. But if you try to be too cool, all right, a lot of times you're going to freeze your own blessings. And what that means is if you think you're too cool, all right, there's going to come a time, all right, where if you don't have your skills, okay, if you weren't taking care of business, you're going to be punished for that. That's just the reality, all right? But right now you have time. You have time to work on your skills. That's the beauty of being young. All right. Now, let's talk about emotions. Okay? Because we're talking about emotions. All right? So, how many of you have seen the movie Inside Out? Anybody seen that movie? Yeah. Inside Out. Okay? Inside Out. So, the book I wrote is called Sociopsychonomics. I believe all the teachers here will get a copy of this book. But really this book is about the brain. It's kind of my story, it's kind of an autobiography, but it's really about how people make decisions, all right, based on their upbringing, all right, their life experiences, okay? So emotions are very, very important. Now, all right, I'm going to talk a little bit about emotions. Fear. All right. Some of you are afraid of the boogeyman. Ooh. All right, there's no boogeyman. All right? Now, fear. One of my greatest fears. Okay, I keep something in my pocket right now, and it's a constant reminder. When you grow up poor, you grow up on welfare. I'm not against welfare. I'll never be against welfare. But welfare should be generational. One generation after another, after another, after another, being on welfare. Okay, I will never be against welfare. Now, I have something in my pocket. It's called a food stamp. I keep this as a constant reminder. Because when I used to go to the grocery store, one of my biggest fears is when I would go in there and then people would see me. If somebody I knew, they would see me with food stamps. So I would walk around the store over and over again if somebody I knew, and I waited for those people to leave before I checked out. Because I never wanted anyone to see me with food stamps. I never wanted anyone to see me with food stamps, especially when I started becoming a big-time basketball player. People started to know who I was. I didn't want anybody to see me with food stamps because I was so embarrassed by that. Fear. We all have fears. Sometimes your fears really, all right, are really your own doing. It's not really real. It's just something you think. So fear. You have to understand your emotions. Fear is not necessarily a bad thing, but if it paralyzes you where you can't move in life, then it becomes very bad. Okay? So fear. All right. The next one. Anger. Some of you right here, right now, listening to me, you've got some major anger issues. Nobody has to point anybody. Nobody has to raise their hand. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about me. Mr. Fundy struggled with anger. All right? And I was very angry as a kid, particularly growing up very poor. All right? I was very angry when people used to disrespect me and say, you ain't never going to be nothing. They told me, they said, you ain't never going to be nothing but a poor kid from the project. That made me very angry that people didn't believe in me, right? Other than my teachers and a few people. All right? Some of you have some anger problems. And I'm going to tell you something. This is real. I talk about it in my book. I used to have big-time trouble with white men, older white men. I used to have big-time trouble because a lot of the people who said a lot of bad things about Lawrence Funderburke were usually older white men. Not women. Not kids, mostly older white men. And I remember we had a fundraiser for a nonprofit organization. There was a elderly white man. He has his head down. He's waiting to talk to me, and he's kind of crying. I'm like, what's going on with this guy? But he's waiting to talk to me. He comes up to me, and he says, Lawrence, I just want to apologize to you. I want to apologize to you because I read what everybody said about you in the paper, and I believed that, and I never read one page of your life story. And I said, stop. I forgive you. Anger, you have to forgive people. And not only that, he grabs my hand, and he puts a check in my hand. The check was for $1,000, and he walks right back to his seat. But you have to forgive people. A lot of you are angry. You got to learn how to forgive. You have to learn how to release. People who talk about you, say things, text things. You got to learn how to forgive people. Your parents. All right. Now. Disgust. I grew up poor, right? Now, I'm one of the top 5 high school players in the country, all right? Even ranked ahead of a guy. I was the second best player coming out of high school. This guy right here, his name is Shaquille what? Shaquille O'Neal. Okay, I was ranked ahead of him, but we know who had a better career, which is obviously him. All right, now, I was one of the top 5 high school players coming out, right? Famous coaches, Bobby Knight, Dean Smith, all these famous coaches, Roy Williams, they all came. They wanted to recruit me. Not one person ever came to my apartment. You know why? I was so embarrassed to grow up in a project. Let me tell you what was inside my apartment. When I got in high school, none of my friends ever came inside of my apartment. Nobody, if they weren't a family, ever came inside my apartment. We had mismatched furniture. We used to have roaches. We didn't hardly have anything in the refrigerator to eat. And I never forget that. I never forget how I felt. The pain will always be there. And I never wanted anybody to see where I lived. when they would drop me off, I never wanted anybody to see where I lived. And I lived right next to a dumpster. It was a trash can. Alcoholics used to use it as a urinal. You know, rats would go through there and look for food, and you can hear it. And then I would be the one that had to take the trash out. I would cover one hand on my nose, and the other I would use to throw the trash in, and I would run back because it was a disgusting environment, and that really bothered me. Now this one, sadness. We all have emotions, but it's how do we deal with our emotions? Now, my mom, she used to tell me, she would say, son, your father's coming to see you. And I would wait around all day. I wouldn't leave my apartment because I would wait for him. I would wait to see my father. So I would wait. I would look out the window. I would look out the window. I would look out. I would look out. And he never showed up. He never showed up. He never kept his word. I saw him 3 times my whole life. My father never one time told me that he loved me. Not one time. He was an alcoholic. He cared more about that bottle than about the emotions bottled up inside of me. And he would take me to the corner store and get some candy. I hate candy to this day. I don't like candy. I hate candy. He would take me to the corner store. We're in a car. He's drunk already. He's drunk. What does a father say to a son that he doesn't want? What does a son say to a father that he doesn't know? In the car, stunned silence. Nothing I have in common with this guy other than father, mother, they come together to have a kid. That's it. We go to the corner store. I go and I look at the candy and I get some candy, you know, Reese's, Snickers. I get some candy. I put it on the counter. He goes to the adult beverage cooler. He gets a 40 ounce. And then most of my candy had to go back on the shelf to pay for his liquor. My father died when I was in high school. I was 16. Do you think I went to his funeral? No. I don't go to funerals of people I don't know. And again, I talked about forgiveness. I did not forgive my father until I became a father myself. Exactly 16 years later, almost to the day that my father passed away. My parents, when I had football games, basketball games, and you look at a stands, and nobody's there to support you. Nobody there to cheer for you. When you meet with teachers, parent-teacher conference, my mom wouldn't come. And I remember playing Little League football. It was senior day. You walk out with your parents, and I'm walking out, and I'm the only player who walks out by himself. Nobody's there to support me. Nobody's there. I'm 47. Still bothers me. It's over 30-some years ago. Do you think I'm there when my kids have things? I'm there. Everything they have, I'm there. Because again, it's not how you start, it's how you what? Come on, it's how you what? Finish! You gotta finish strong. Newark, you gotta finish strong. You gotta finish strong. No excuses. Now, I gotta get somebody who's strong. You got the other person? Where's the other person? Anybody want to help me out? You gotta be in shape for this last drill, okay? You gotta be in shape, okay? You're gonna do some work. You gotta be in shape. Who is it? Jared. Come on, give him a hand. All right, so this is a harness belt, okay? So I'm gonna put this on him and he's gonna pull me. Yeah, okay? But he can do it, he's strong, he's got some muscles, okay? All right, you gotta give him a hand now. Okay, so come down here. Okay. All right, so he's gonna pull me. All right, ready? Go. Run. Come on, give him a hand, give him a hand, come on. All right, you're gonna go back now. Ready? Go, come on, cheer for him now, come on. His shoe came out. All right, now what he's gonna do, he's gonna run backwards. Okay, all right, ready? Take that, go. All right, now this last one, he's going to do a crab crawl, and when I say push-up, he's going to do a push-up. All right, so you're going to do a crab crawl, and then a push-up. That's a better one. Crab crawl, push-up. Not too fast. Another line again. Nope, yeah, put this on. Okay, ready? Come on, cheer him on. Yes. Give him a hand. Good. Give him another hand. Now, in life, again, even though you're not in school, you're always in class. We're in a school, but we're not in the classroom. All right, you have to have balance in your life, okay? Take care of business. Your navigational skills, okay? Dribbling, you got to be able to navigate. All right, and endurance, you got to have endurance for the long haul. Now, we're going to wrap it up here in a minute. I want you to really think about emotions, right? So you have fear, you have anger, disgust, you have sadness, you have shock, you have happiness. I had some happy moments. Not everything was sad. One of the things that brings me joy and happiness, all right, is being able to come in front of young people and talk to them about life. I love doing that. I love doing this. I love it. Right? Because there's always something that you can say that helps someone in their life. And that's what it's really about. Very important that you understand that. Now, right here, 51. At Ohio State, I wore number 34. 51. Now, I got drafted by the Sacramento Kings in the second round with the 51st pick. Let me share this with you. When you're getting drafted, right, you have to do workouts for teams, and you meet with the general manager, you meet with different people because they're trying to say, do I want to draft this person? Do I want to invest in this person? And I had an executive for an NBA team. All of these things, you got to be real careful what you put on social media. Hello? You got to be real careful. Your brand. Now, you think it goes away, right? What's that? Snapchat? What's supposed to dissolve? Which one is that? Snapchat? It's not true. Whatever you put out there is permanent. You better listen to me. Whatever you put out there is permanent. You got to be very careful with your brand. Now, I got drafted in the second round, the 51st pick. Other guys got drafted ahead of me, and I know I could wear them out on the basketball court. But it didn't matter because they couldn't trust my brand. You always pay a price when you have a bad brand. What did I lose? I I got drafted, second round, 51st pick. I lost somewhere between about 25 and $50 million. That's just money, okay? Not everything's about money. More importantly, you gotta have a good name. Your name is very important. You gotta be very careful about your social media. I know people talk to you all the time about that. You gotta be very careful. There are predators, there are people who want to take advantage of you. You gotta be very careful. Our world is sick today, it's sick. People are sick what they're doing to kids. You gotta be very careful. Your brand, you gotta protect your brand at all costs. It's very important. You have an emotional brand, you have a financial brand, you have an educational brand, you have a professional brand. You have all of these brands, you have a nutritional brand. You gotta put good food in your system. You gotta eat healthy. Very important. Take care of your bodies. Now, I have something for you here. There's a guy in this town. His name is Rick Dillon. Rick Dillon, all right, is a big supporter of our nonprofit organization. He's from Newark, Ohio. Right here, he's from here. Rick Dillon. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Rick real quick, and I'm going to wrap it up. Rick Dillon is from Newark. Rick Dillon is considered a superstar in his industry. He's a superstar. I'm not going to say what his industry is because I'm going to give you an opportunity. If you research Rick Dillon, you write a report to me, 1 page, all right? I'll look at that, and whoever I pick, there'll be a couple of you who win, I'll give you a nice prize. But there are people in this city who are very successful. Your teachers are very successful. There are people who can be role models to you right here in this city. Rick Dillon. Rick Dillon is considered a superstar. All right? And what he does is he helps people, and they manage about $16 billion. $16 billion. And you know what he said to me? He said, Lawrence, I want to help the people of Newark, Ohio. I want to help them. And there are people in this city who want to help you in your life. But my question to you is this, you ready? Will you allow them to help you? Do you want to be helped? I hope so. I hope so. I hope you want to be helped. Now, I usually put this on my athletes, okay, when we do different activities, all right? It's kind of a resistance band. All right? Okay? And in life, a lot of people, guess what? They walk around life, right? They got shackles on. They make excuses. I grew up, had an opportunity. Okay, nobody was really there for me, and they're legit. There are some legitimate excuses. But what can you control? That's what this message is about. There are a lot of people who are going to have a hard time navigating in life. Because when they were young, they did not take care of business. They didn't learn from their mistakes. And they didn't want to be helped. You've got to know that if you go through life with shackles on, life's going to be very tough for you. And one of the areas that you have to focus on is your emotions. We talked about that. Your emotions. Now, I can take these off because I don't have any shackles. I don't have any shackles. I don't have any shackles. I didn't make excuses when I was young. You heard my story. I just opened up my heart to you. You heard my story. What can you control? What you're responsible for. Now, I want everybody to put your hands up. I want you to put your hands up. Everybody, you in here, teacher, administrator, superintendent, okay, you're gonna put your hands up, okay? Okay, everybody's gonna repeat after me. Listen, listen. It's a serious business. Repeat after me. I have the hand of greatness. Success is always within my reach. Come on, put your hands up. You got to believe this. One more time. I have a hand of greatness. Success is always within my reach. Do you believe it? You believe it? Not funny. Not funny, I'm telling you. I go into prisons and speak to people, adults. I go into juvenile prison facilities and speak to the young people. And they always tell me, if only I would have took my life a little bit more serious when I was younger. Can't go back in time. Can't go back. Ain't no time machine. It's a serious business. Your teachers. I'm hoping that when I share how important teachers were to me, that you would be respectful to your teachers. You would demand that they bring their A game. You demand they bring their A game. And in return, you have to bring your A game to them. That's their job. Your job is to take care of business in the classroom. That's your responsibility. You should be respectful to your teachers. You should make their job much easier, right? That's your responsibility. You have to understand that. It's very, very important. Now, for those of you who helped me, if you were participated, I'm going to give you a poster. I'm going to autograph it. All right? Now, again, when I talk about Rick Dillon, okay, you guys, if you have a phone, if you have something to write down, you should look up Rick Dillon. You should look him up. All right? And I challenge you, write a one-page story on him, send it to me. All right? I would love to come back and visit this school again in a few months. Anybody want to see me dunk? Yeah!
Hey, let's give a big round of applause to one to come out there.